Alright, so this is the layout for the easy 5-frame nuke that a lot of people have posted plans for on B-Source forums. And this is the top. It's 22 inches wide by 9 inches across. And then the top also uses 2 scrap cleats. They're just little pieces that go on each end of the top like this, and that just holds it in place whenever you set it down on top of the box. And so those aren't really too hard to put together. There's not much assembly with the top. It just pretty much, you just nail those cleats on and then set it on top of the box. So here's the bottom. The bottom is 20 inches wide by 8.5 inches across, and I usually put that on last because it's kind of optional. You don't have to have a bottom. You can use a piece of number 8 hardware cloth so you have a screened bottom, or you can leave the bottom off and stack this deep, or stack this nuke on top of another one, and then you'd have a 10-frame stack nuke. Okay, so I'll do the bottom for last. Okay, here's the sides. The sides are 19 1/8 inches wide by 10 1/4 inches across, and then the front and the back of the nuke are 9.5 by 7.5, and then you have these end caps here, which are 8.5 inches long. The width here, really just, you're going to cut that out of some scrap whenever you get done cutting out the bigger pieces. And at the end of the video, I will put a layout of the best way to cut these that makes it easier. You can get your plywood kind of pre-cut from the store, and then when you come home, you don't have to make as many cuts on it. So I'm going to pause here, and then we'll start putting it together. So what I've done here is I've already glued the front and the back. Here's the front and the back. They've been glued to one of the sides and nailed, and then now I'm about to put the other side on there. And so all I do is I take some wood glue, Type Bond 3, so really good wood glue, and I run a bead along each edge, and then I set the side on there and tack it down. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then we will proceed with putting the end caps on and the bottom. Okay, so I've got the sides and the front and back connected, and you'll notice the front and the back, they don't come all the way up to the top of the sides, and the reason for that is because you can now set your, here's a frame top. It fits in there just perfectly, and it will rest on the front and the back. And so then to cover this gap so that there's no gap there, that's where we'll use those end caps. Those end caps will nail right here, flush against the wood, and that will seal it off and make it where it's just like a box with a dado cut out of it, just like you're used to on your deeps. So I'm going to nail these end caps on real quick. I just put a bunch of glue on there, put it on, and then nail along the edge here. So I'm nailing into the edge of the side. And then once I've done that, then you're pretty much done. You put the top on and then do whatever you want to with the bottom. You can use your piece of plywood for the bottom, or like I said, you can use the 1/8 inch hardware cloth, or you can stack this on top of another nuke. Okay, so I've got it put together. I've got it just sitting right here on the bottom for now, so I don't have it glued or tacked to the bottom because I'm not quite sure if I'm going to put a screen on the bottom of this one or if I'm going to stack it. I've got another one that I've got bees moving into right now that's on a trap out, so I may just stack this one on top of it when I get it. I'm not sure, but you can see now how those end cleats work, and that leaves you your dado there so that your frame can sit right in there just like that. That's just the top bar of a frame, but you get the idea. So it'll fit 5 frames, and all it's left to do is to come here to the front, cut you an entrance hole, down here at the bottom. However you want to do that, you can use a hole saw. You can take this piece right here and run it on a table saw and cut your groove out, and actually have a little notch down here at the bottom, and then you have kind of a little front porch for them to walk in on, just like a bottom board. But all that's left now to do is to take the top right here, set it on, and then take our little end cleats, and we will take them. Here's one of my end cleats, and I'll tack it on underneath the bottom here. It's hard to do one-handed. Okay, but I'll tack it on right here underneath the bottom so that just hold it in place. keep it from blowing off as easily. But I'll take one on one end, I'll measure it so that it's nice tight fit, but I'll put one on the other end. So there's my top that I can take on and off. But that's it. I've seen a lot of people take and use a hole saw on the front here, to make an entrance, and then they'll use one of those rotating disc that has the different entrances. One is closed, one is reduced, and then one is full wide open. And they'll tack that on the front, and then they spin it, depending on whether they want it fully open or reduced or closed. But anyway, that's it. This box right here cost about $3. You buy a sheet of plywood for about $12, and then out of that one sheet of plywood you can make 4 nucs, and plus you'll have some scraps left over that you can use for just various projects. They're not very big. They're about 3 inches long, or 3 inches wide by about 16 inches long, but you have a couple scrap pieces you can use for miscellaneous stuff. Anyway, cheap way to get you some nucs. You want to paint them with some exterior paint, so they'll last a little bit longer. I usually go and try to find the Oops mixes at Lowe's or Walmart, where they've made a mistake on a mix, and you can buy it for real cheap. But just buy a light color and paint that thing up, and you're good to go. But nice cheap way to get started. Good way for catching swarms. Good thing just to have to keep your equipment in. You can put your veil and your gloves and your hive tool in here and put it in the back of your car, and then you've got it with you. Put your smoker in there, and then if somebody calls and says they've got a swarm they want you to come get, you've got a hive to put it in plus all your tools inside of it. So nice little project, and nice cheap way to get started.
So you're going to use 15/32 inch plywood, so half-inch plywood, and have the store cut that into 22-inch pieces. So it's going to be 22 by 40-inch pieces. You should have 4 of those. Then you can use this cut-up guide to cut up your pieces. Basically each of those 4 22-inch pieces, you're going to cut the top out of the top piece, and then the bottom, and then the 2 sides, and then the front, and then you use some of the scrap to make the cleats. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and please stop by my website at cheapbeekeeping.wordpress.com for more ideas on how to get into beekeeping as cheaply as possible, and have a good day.